Okay, so the Polar Grit X is a watch that Polar has kind of deemed their outdoor rugged type watch. So what they say on the box, it actually says, it's the outdoor multi-sport watch designed for the moments when the road is not enough and new goals are waiting off the beaten track. So clearly they're thinking trail, ultra running. This thing does have 40 hours of battery life, which is amazing. So it's going to be more than enough to get you through 100-mile ultra marathons. And that is in full GPS mode, by the way. So you can extend that out even further, which is insane. So just kudos to Polar there. So this watch is very durable and rugged. It's passed military level durability standard tests, essentially, that they put it through, you know, drop heights and things like that. You know, waterproof ratings. The glass is Gorilla Glass. You know, you still might want to put a screen protector on it. I've been testing this thing now for 2-3 weeks, taking it on mini trail runs, and there's still, you know, no scratches on it, and it looks really good. So kudos to Polar there as well. The looks of the watch are great. At least to me, I think it's a very good looking watch. It's also very lightweight, so if you're going to be wearing it in that 100-mile ultra, it's only 64 grams. So not the lightest watch on the market in this kind of price point. You know, there are other ones that are lighter, more not as thick. But this one is fairly light, and you're really not going to notice it too much. You know, if you look at it, it is a very thick watch, largely in part due to the heart rate sensor on the back. It is a large heart rate sensor. It's supposed to be very accurate. In my testing of the heart rate sensor, I found that it was fairly accurate, but not near as good as I would have expected.
These yellowish spikes are the Grit X. We can see quite a few spikes of that yellow, meaning the Polar Grit X.
For GPS accuracy, again, it's pretty accurate. We can take a look here at another run I did.
This was just an out and back on the same trail. As we can see, they're not right on top of each other, the outs and the backs. You know, pretty close, but I would kind of expect them to be a little more on top of each other because, you know, this, like I said, is an out and back trail. Nothing crazy, though. You know, down here we kind of walked around a bit, took a look at an arch feature. Now here, this was more open on road. You can see they're pretty much on top of each other. This was more in the woods over here. Interesting. So it spreads out a little bit. And again, we walked around here, taking a look at another arch and waterfall. The GPS track is decent, but not right on top of each other. So just interesting to note.
Okay, so some of the features that Polar has put into this watch to give it more of that rugged, outdoorsy type watch. One of the things is called Hill Splitter. Hill Splitter is a feature that detects automatically when you are either ascending a hill or descending, and it gives you basically a start point of that hill and an end point, and it tells you how you performed on that hill. So if you're going up, you can look at it and it'll say, oh, you're still going uphill, and this is the 7th uphill. It is neat. And then again in Polar Flow, which is the app or the website where this syncs to, you can then look more in depth at each of those hill segments to see how you performed. So as a trail runner, it's pretty neat. It does give you some useful data, but on the watch itself, I didn't really use it too much, to be honest. Another great trail running aspect for this watch is the route guidance. It does have a turn-by-turn navigation. In order to use that, you have to use a platform that's called Kamoot, however you want to pronounce it. But it's a GPS plotting app, basically, or you can go to the website and do it, which is much easier than the app. So basically, you log into this website, you create your GPS route by clicking on the trails, and then from the app, you then have to mark it as a favorite in the app, and then sync it to your watch. It's a very cumbersome way to do this, in my opinion. It's not as easy as other watches that I've done for GPS route, preparing a GPX route, and then uploading it to the watch. This one does take a while. However, once you do it, the turn-by-turn navigation was pretty good. It literally just said turn now, and the trail is right there. So turn-by-turn navigation on this thing works really well. I was actually really surprised at how accurate, you know, within 50 feet, basically, the turns were telling me, turn here, you know, turn here. If you get off course, it does beep at you more than once, repeatedly, and tells you, you know, wrong direction, wrong direction. So, you know, if you're going to be running a 200 miler where you might be really fatigued, that could come in handy and maybe save your day. So the synchronization times with this watch are, there's no way to put it. They're slow, very slow. This watch routinely takes close to 1 minute to synchronize. The times that I've actually timed it with the stopwatch were 55 seconds and 56 seconds. And that was just from like a 6 to 10 mile run. So very, very slow. But with that said, having the ability to then view your activities on the website is great. You know, some platforms don't have that. This does. You can dig down pretty deep into the data then. Really learn more about how you're fueling, you know, if you're using carbohydrates, protein, fat, things like that. Look in depth into the hills. It's really cool. So the website is really nice. And I do like that a lot about the Polar platforms. Okay, so now I'm just going to kind of give you some cons about the Polar that I don't really like. So right away, one of the first things I noticed with this watch when I put it on was the band. When I first held it, I thought, oh, this is a really nice band. You know, it's thick. It's probably not going to rip and deteriorate quickly. However, I do not like this band at all. It's silicone on the inside, which is nice. On the outside, it's kind of coarse and it gets dirty quickly. But the biggest drawback to this band is it's very stiff. It is not comfortable to wear at all. So it does have these quick release features on the back for the band. So you can swap those out with other bands. It is universal. So I would highly recommend buying a different watch band for it because this is just not comfortable at all. Another weird thing, and I actually reached out to Polar directly and talked to them to confirm this, but there is no way to turn this watch off at all. Like it's just not built into it. From what the rep at Polar said, that this watch is designed to be a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week activity tracker. So sleep, walking, steps, running, rowing, skiing, whatever. So you're designed to wear it all the time, and that's why they did that. However, the Polar Vantage V2 was the same way, but they just released, it's been a few weeks now, but they just released an update where you can actually power that watch off. And he said that he would not be surprised if that comes to this watch as well. So maybe in the future we'll be able to power this thing down, but until then, I guess you just let it die. Another odd thing about this watch, for the iPhone, when you put your phone in Do Not Disturb, it does not automatically make this Do Not Disturb, so you will still get notifications and they will still vibrate and all that stuff. You know, with that said, on the watch, you can, you know, scroll down from the top and turn it on to Do Not Disturb so it doesn't do that, and I do that at night. It'd be really nice if when you put your iPhone on Do Not Disturb, if it automatically did that to this. That would be a cool feature. Another thing about this watch that I do not like at all is the interval timer. So let's say you want to do an interval session where you want to do a 20-minute warm-up, 6 minutes at a higher intensity, 3 minutes recovery, and then let's say a 20-minute cool down. You cannot program that on this watch. The only timers that you can set are 2. That's it. So you can set your intensity timer and then your recovery timer if you want, but you can't put your warm up and your cool down in it. So the only way I found to do that basically was to start the watch without any timer set on it. And then when you do your warm up and it's finished, you got to pause the watch, go into the settings, turn on your 2 timers for your 6 minutes and 3 minutes, do the interval session. And then once that last cool down is done, turn off the timers, which means you got to pause the watch again, turn off the timers, and then do your cool down. So it's not very user friendly in that respect. It's not gonna help you on those workouts very much. So I think that could be improved a lot. Now maybe there's a way to do this in the website. I didn't find it, but there very well could be. So let me know below if that's the case, if there's some other way to do this. Now let's get straight to some positives, some things I really do like about this watch. One very simple thing that I just love about this watch, but when you get a notification on your iPhone and it comes to your watch, you clear it on the watch and then it clears it from the iPhone. So it's not going to still be on your iPhone lock screen telling you had a notification. It'll be gone, which is awesome. There's other watches out there that do not do that. You can also turn off the inactivity alert. You know, Garmin's I think is called a move alert. I find that super annoying because, you know, if I'm out running 6 to 10 miles a day, I'm moving enough. Thank you very much. I don't need you to tell me that I'm sitting on my chair doing my work and it says move, you know, just so. You can turn that off. There's also weather on the watch. It gives you like 3 days worth of weather. Then you can also look into the hourly. It has to be paired to your phone for this, but it's nice because you can then look at it and be like, oh, I'm going to go for a run in 3 hours. Oh, we should have good weather. So cool. Or it's going to rain. I need to take a jacket. Pretty handy. Probably one of the best features, actually for me personally, that is the best thing about this watch is the sleep tracking. It is, I think, the most accurate sleep tracker on the market. You know, thinking about Garmin, Coros, those platforms. It's just very good. There's no other way to put it. I'll show you some of the data on the screen, but it basically gives you, your REM sleep, your deep sleep, your light sleep, your interruptions. It gives you your recharge score, like how you slept, how that affects your recovery, whether or not it's a good day to train hard, or you might want to take an easy day. It's just really cool and very intuitive, and just a great job, Polar. Like, knocked it out of the park with the sleep. Earlier I talked about the do not disturb from the iPhone does not put do not disturb on this. With that said, in the app you can set up designated do not disturb times. So for me and my wife, we have our phones set to do not disturb from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So basically, the workday's done. Now it's time to spend time with the family. We don't want to be distracted by our devices. So I set up a do not disturb setting from 5 to 8 p.m. In the app, and it works, and it's really cool. So I'm not getting those constant beeps. All right, well, let's take a look at some of the screens on the watch and show you kind of how to use a couple things. All right, so here we have the watch, 5-button configuration. Up here is the light. This kind of up button, down button, and this is to select different features, and this is to go back. So let's take a look. If we scroll up, we can see this talks about your activity throughout the day. This little bar scrolls around as you get more activity. And here's the weather. You can see this is the 3-day. And if we scroll down, we can see we've got the hourly forecast. And here we've got their little workout thing, which is pretty cool. You click on it, and you can choose what you want to do. It's got some cardio, core, mobility, also has strength routines you can do. But if we just take a look at this mobility, it tells you it's 23 minutes long, do each exercise. But the cool thing is it gives you little stick figure men that tell you exactly what you need to do. So Ferris wheel, inchworm, groiners. And it's just a neat little helpful thing if you want to do a couple of shorter workouts here and there. And on this here, it tells you whether you are detraining, maintaining, being productive, or overreaching. I haven't worn this one for activities in a day or probably 2 or 3 days, so it shows me as just barely maintaining. But it is kind of neat just to know that it's there, and it feels pretty accurate too, actually. If you want to start an activity, there's a couple ways you can do it. The first one is if you just hold this button on the right here, just hold it down. It automatically takes you into the last activity mode that you were in. And for me, that was treadmill running, so it goes straight to that. And it's looking for my heart rate, which is that little icon right there. You can see the heart rate sensor is working, trying to find my heart rate. But you can select the different modes then. We've got trail running, running. So here, let's take a look at the interval settings. If you hit the setting button, you got training suggestions, race pace. So if you put in that you want to run a 20-minute 5K, it'll then tell you what pace you need to run, and it helps you stay on that pace, which is pretty cool. The interval timer, again, like I say, and there's only 2 timers for this, which is not very helpful. But from the main menu, you can take a look. This is the other way. You hit the back button, get to this screen, then you can select your activity to start training, or you can do Serene, which is basically a kind of like a guided breathing meditation exercise, which it's kind of neat. You've got Strava Live segments. In order for this to work, you've got to have a Strava premium account. Fuel-wise, this is pretty cool here. So if we do the smart carb reminder, you put in the duration of your activity, which here is 1.5 hours. The intensity, so let's say you're going to do a heart rate zone 3, and you want to take 20 grams of carbohydrates per serving, and you hit next. So this screen tells you that you need to take 40 grams of carbohydrates, and they'll remind you 2 times to take those. But what's pretty neat is it says here is if your session turns out to be more intense, we'll give you more frequent reminders. So if you're running that zone 3, but then for some reason there's a big hill and you end up going into zone 4, zone 5, it'll say, hey, you need some more carbohydrates, drink more, or take more carbohydrates, whatever your source is. Pretty cool. You can also add a drink reminder, and then just click use now. And then there's timers as well. This is just your basic stopwatch, things like that. Fitness test, this is interesting. So this is just a test where you lay down, no distractions, and be completely still and just breathe. And it takes your heart rate, uses other data you input like your age, height, all of that. And it gives you, in theory, your VO2 max. I did this and it told me mine was 68, which is crazy because all the other devices I've used have said I'm in the mid-50s. So I think that might not be that accurate. Then we've got watch settings, the general settings, your physical settings as far as, you as a person, and watch settings. So that's another disappointing thing about this watch is there's only 2 watch faces available. There's digital and analog, and that's it. And there's no customization on those either. All right, here you can see the little red button at the bottom there. If I scroll up, it tells me I've got notification. And the screen is not the most sensitive. All right, so here we have the Polar app. As you can see, I've not been using this for all of my training again, so it shows maintaining status, activity goal, but this is the nightly recharge score I was telling you about, which is really pretty neat. Basically, it says the nightly recharge shows how your body was able to recover from training and stress during the night, so it kind of gives you a value to let you know, hey, this is a good day to train hard, or you might want to take it easy. So it's got your ANS score, your sleep charge, then down at the bottom it says, go for it, meaning today is a good day to train. My sleep score, my amount of sleep, the activity. Again, I don't wear this watch all day. I just wore it through the night. And there's the activities. If we just take a look at this treadmill run that I did, gives you the distance, the time, the heart rate, all those usual things. Tells me this was a steady state training. It's excellent. This long run improved the endurance. So it gives you kind of little encouraging things, I guess you could say, which is kind of cool. What's really neat that I like a lot about this app is this right here, the energy used. So it lets you know that I use 61% carbohydrates, 38% fat, and 1% protein. This is neat because it allows me to know that, hey, if I do this type of run again, I need to plan to have a lot of carbohydrates and a fair amount of fats. There's other runs that I've done where I've used more fat than carbs. So it lets you know how you need to plan your fueling strategy, which is pretty helpful. And here we have the sleep, which is really just amazing the way they track. So it gives you your deep sleep, light sleep, REM, interruptions. Gives you this nice little graph. You can also look at a pie chart if you want. And down here it gives you a score. It says my score today was 85 for good regeneration, but it was a little below usual today. Only 20% of my sleep was REM. Deep sleep was 9%. The continuity, long interruptions. So it just gives you a lot of cool data you can kind of dig through and let you know how you're sleeping. Looking at the sport profiles, these are the ones I have selected. There are a lot more you can add to the screen that will then show up on your watch. Just click at trail running, click edit. On all your activities, the automatic lap is set at 1 kilometer, so you will have to go in and change that to 1 mile manually if you want to train by miles. So just keep that in mind. And what I wanted to show you here are the data fields that are available for your activities. So you are only allowed to have 4 data fields per screen, which is pretty low, to be honest. A lot of watches out there now have 6, and I've really grown to like 6 data fields. Instead of seeing everything on one screen, I have to scroll through on different screens to see the data that I want to see. So who is this watch for? I would say if you are a trail runner, if you do ultra marathons, if you need turn-by-turn navigation, you love sleep tracking, you like a lot of data for your runs to be able to look into and see where you can improve, running power. This does have running power built into it. You might need help with your fueling strategy. You want to be able to access your activities on an app and also a website. Then this watch is going to be great for you, and I think you'll be very happy. Right now it retails for about $430, so it has a lot of features packed in at that price point, and I think whoever decides to purchase the Polar Grid X is going to be very happy, bottom line. Who is this watch maybe not for? I would say somebody who wants a watch that you can just throw on, track your activities, real easy to use, and you just want to not have to really dig into stuff. Then this might not be for you. The Polar platform as a whole compared to Garmin and Coros is probably the least user-friendly. It just takes more time to set things up. Ease of use on the watch with the buttons is kind of, takes more time. The syncing is very slow. So you might not want this watch, but there's watches out there for everybody. So hopefully this video maybe helps shed some light on if this watch is for you or not for you. And if that's the case, I would appreciate if you would give the video a thumbs up. It really does help the video out. And also consider clicking that subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, it just helps my channel grow a lot, and I would really appreciate it. You'll see more gear reviews from me, short films, trail running, all sorts of cool things. And also, if you want to support the channel, there's a link down below to get some UltraTrailSteven merchandise as well. You can check that out. Lots of cool stuff down there. But thank you guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you want to take a look at the full review I did of the Coros Apex, it's going to be right over here on this side. Go ahead and click on that. You can learn a lot about that watch. And then over on this side, I'll have my other gear review playlists, so you can go in and check out the other things I've reviewed as well. You might find something in there that interests you. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.